If you had to walk around and spend your life trapped in the body of a current pro, Regan Grimes would be a pretty damn good one to pick.
Absolutely.
You had to just spend your days strolling around the mall looking like Regan Grimes. Holy.
I wouldn't be upset by that.
Would not be upset.
Yeah.
You had to just look like Regan for the rest of your life.
Look at all the hair, for crying out loud.
Full head of hair, 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know,
Is he? How tall
Good
is he?
looking.
Is he just 6 feet?
yeah, he's like 6. He's like I'm 6 foot half inch. He's like my height. I don't know.
Look at those hams on him. It'll just corded
was
out
awesome.
hamstrings. He looks
You know?
really good.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. Big Ron Partlow here with Dusty Hanshaw. Is that Dusty? I hardly recognize him. Smart Dusty Hanshaw.
I should be Dustin now. It's very...
You Dusty Hanshaw, upgraded V2. And of course, the producer, Scott McNally. Same old Scott. There we go. Not any better.
Meh.
No upgrade. There you go.
Not smarter like me.
Yeah. And remember, everybody, show sponsored by Mutant. IamMutant.com. Use code Dusty or Big Ron. Go to IamMutant.com. Get your all-in. Get your isosurgeon. Everyone should get on the gear. Okay. What's going on? Dusty, first of all, like, share, subscribe, comment, and...
Ring the bell. You almost took away the only thing I have.
I was so distracted. Well, you're so smart now. I
still want to ring the bell.
I was distracted by your brilliance. The bell ringing was a monkey task we gave you to keep you happy.
I still have that in me.
So, what's going on? Dusty has spectacles.
Yes, spectacles. So, the thing I wanted to open up with, before we even touch on the New York Pro, is the amazing response we had for arguing why it was okay for Derek to win the Pittsburgh Pro.
Is that even what we said? I thought we just talked about the show.
But
apparently we were okay with it going either way. And that was
apparently we thought it was close.
That was unacceptable. Apparently we thought it was a tie score.
Right.
Which it was.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point out,
reality hurts people's brains.
Anyone who absolutely hates us, for this reason, never mind.
Many people.
Go watch Tyler Mannion's breakdown of how they did it. Oh, and by the way, what I love that he did, for those of you who did not see it, was he was saying, everyone was saying politics.
Yeah.
And he said, Nick has the biggest fan base in the world.
Yeah.
If we were doing politics, wouldn't Nick have won?
Nick wins all the shows.
And then he said, also, isn't it a better story leading into the Olympia if Nick beats Derek? Right. Oh, an insult to injury, he also said, I had Nick winning.
Oh, there you go.
And he said he was okay with it. And he said, by the way, last year, Nick and Martin, New York Pro, he had Martin winning.
Huh.
And Nick won.
Right.
So
that's what
I really just thought, and he broke it down pose for pose. He explained which pose he had which way, which poses he thought were a freaking coin flip, and he could totally be fine. Right. He said there were only 3 poses that he thought someone won unquestionably.
Outright.
Wow.
So I really urge you guys to go watch that, because I think that he did an amazing job. And I'm retired, and I make really bad decisions my entire career as far as saying whatever the hell I want. I don't need to kiss ass. Go watch it and tell me you don't have a better understanding of how it went down, and the fact that your bias or your like. I mean, listen, I too thought Nick would win, and I have bias in the other direction because of Aceto. But to me, I was like, it's just too much.
I think part of it is just people want their person to win, kind of like sports teams. Like, I don't care what happened, I want the wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and you suck. I hate you if you don't like the wings.
For 9 years, I've wanted the wings, Scott.
I think one thing, with me, like I had a bunch of guys ask me, like, what do you think, man? Do you think I got ripped off? And I was like, I don't know, it was a close show. And they were like, oh, we're sitting on your wallet.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, there was one crazy guy that commented who's about to get blocked because every time he comments,
no, leave him. I like those guys.
Leave him.
Yeah, that one guy. I don't know, Dirk. I just you're on the line. You're weird.
What are you talking about? The powers that be, first of all, don't care about our show. They didn't even know we have a show. No one
probably
cares. Not. And secondly, like I think I'm at that age and I've seen so much bodybuilding where I just don't care who wins. Like people were like expecting me to be like, oh, I know.
I haven't slept since the show.
I haven't slept since that decision. And I was just like, literally they announced the winner and I was like, okay. Well,
actually, I remember you text us and you go, good show.
That was that's a good show. Like, I don't give a fuck who wins these shows. Like, actually, I'm not emotionally invested in any of these guys. I think they're all awesome. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then another thing, too, is I've been to so many freaking shows, man. Unless you're, like we say, unless you're sitting at the judges' table, like, your opinion doesn't matter.
That's true.
I mean, was that as close as it gets? Maybe that was one of the closest decisions we've ever seen in like the last 10 years. I don't know.
Well, you know what also was great, though?
I just don't care.
After we took heat for our take on the show, which we said was close, really always said, I got annihilated for saying that I thought Nick could win the Olympia.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, which side do you want here?
He already got third once.
Like,
his top three once, and he's made improvements.
I didn't say he was going to win the Olympia.
Just said he could.
I said, I think I have more faith that he could win it now than I did back then.
You said he was extremely dangerous.
So I watched that and I was like, okay, people just like to argue. And at the end of the day, guys, the only thing that matters is hockey. So...
You know what? The only thing that makes me happy about that whole debacle is that we got a lot of clicks and views.
Oh,
yeah, that was great.
And we don't even try. We just accidentally say the odd thing once in a while that fits all the algorithmic stuff, and we're like, "Oh, this got it! Look how many views this got us." We just said something like not even controversial.
Maybe I should watch the show again now that I have.
We should try to do that more often, Scott.
Maybe I'll see it better.
Yeah, we should try. Hey, so let's chat some New York Pro. See if we can upset some people.
Oh,
I've got the lineup here. Actually, give me a second.
I didn't think there was much upsetting at the New York Pro. I thought that was pretty much the way most people thought it was going to go.
Say something unpopular, Ron.
I didn't like his haircut that day.
Yeah.
Who's?
I thought he was. I thought he was better in Pittsburgh.
You know what was great, actually? I have a friend at the gym who actually really knows bodybuilding.
Okay.
And he texted me two things. He was like, Nick is smoking this show, and Bonac will not go away.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like,
yeah,
you understand everything I was watching.
You know what? There's one more thing to say about the New York Pro.
What's that?
If you had to walk around and spend your life trapped in the body of a current pro, Regan Grimes would be a pretty damn good one to pick.
Absolutely.
You had to just spend your days strolling around the mall looking like Regan Grimes. Holy shit.
I wouldn't be upset by that.
Would not be upset.
Yeah.
You had to just look like Regan for the rest of your life.
Look at all the hair, for crying out loud.
Full head of hair,
physique.
6 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know?
Is he, how tall
good
is he?
looking.
Is he just 6 feet?
Yeah, he's like 6. He's like I'm 6 foot half inch. He's like my height. I don't know.
Look at those hams on him. That just corded out
awesome.
Hamstrings. He looks really good.
Big everywhere, beautiful structure. You know,
I do
fancy
wish he would
watch.
I do wish his tan would be darker. That would help me.
I guess he could. He could tan that up a little bit.
I can see that.
Great back double. I'd just be strolling around in a tank top all day.
Yeah, I wouldn't compete at all. I'd just walk around with no shirt.
I'd just be wearing my fancy watch, my fancy designer clothes, different pair of Jordans every day.
Was Nick better here, guys?
I think he was a little better. I saw the back double comparison that was side by side, and again, there's stage lighting differences and all that stuff too. And I thought he looked a little bit I thought it looked like he had better oil on at the New York Pro, and his hams were popping more. But then again, you're not sure if that's like stage light popping or whatever. But I thought that he was slightly better in New York. And then Bonac is just like Bonac.
I think he was better in New York also.
Yeah, he might have been a little tighter.
Look at that back on Bonac, how 3D it is. Like I don't think of Bonac as being like, oh, dude, he's got a crazy back. But we're standing next to Nick Walker, who's a mass monster, right? And look at the 3 dimension that Bonac has on him.
Well, plus you can argue now that Nick has the best or one of the best rear double biceps in the sport.
Yeah, the hamstrings
currently.
The hamstrings are the crazy. He has the biggest, thickest, craziest hamstrings.
Well, look at the adductors.
Yeah.
I actually liked watching when Tyler put up the videos. He did the videos of them posing, him and Derek.
Yeah.
And you could see when Nick would turn out the leg and squeeze the hams, and then he'd hit the adductor, and you'd actually watch it come out.
blow up like
and
a
like
balloon.
slide to the middle. I just immediately think treadmill must suck for you.
Yeah.
And that adductor's just hanging there. He's not flexing it. It's
No.
just tensing the ham kind of pops it out. Yeah.
But bonanza. So
Yeah.
he was awesome. Terrence came back even better, and
Yes.
so did, what was the second place guy? He peeled out of his head.
I love that. I love that shot of Nick with the 3 rings.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. And like, so happy for Nick. Like, obviously you want Nick to be in the Olympia. You want Nick to win shows. Nick's such a, like, I don't know. Nick's just a great guy. He's just a great guy. He's always been nothing but awesome to us. And of course, hello to Nick's mom and Nick's dad.
Yes.
They're always great. They stop by, and I'm sure they're just extraordinarily proud of him this year. And he works real hard. So I mean, I'm a fan of all these guys. Like, that's the thing when they say like, "Oh, you pissed off about this or that." I'm like, I like all these guys. Like, they've all been really nice to me, and they've all been cool. Like Derek's super cool to me. Like, last time I talked to Derek, I was sitting eating a burger, and he came up and stood beside him for 20 minutes. We just chatted. And last time I saw Nick, he was super cool to me. Like, it's just, I just love seeing these guys put on such a crazy show and show up looking like this and take bodybuilding to this level. And Bonac too. Like, Bonac's an inspiration to like everybody.
I think what's great now, and we've discussed this a little bit, but for me, coming into bodybuilding in arguably the best era, and seeing the Ronnie reign, hi, and
Dusty says hi. He saw your head,
and at least it was behind you this time.
She's cuddling the dogs.
I had that moment when they started to retire that I was like, oh, bodybuilding's over. It's gonna. I mean,
like, what's gonna happen now?
It's gonna fall.
Yeah.
And I really do. Even when Phil was winning, I felt like it wasn't competitive, so it didn't. It felt like a fall then. And now it's back, and I'm like, we're in that era.
Yeah.
Only even better, because we're going to the Olympia saying there are at least 3 guys that could win the Olympia for sure.
Yeah.
You know what, too, Dusty, that's kind of cool about this era is I feel like in, say, like the Ronnie era, everybody was trying to be as absolutely full-blown big as possible because they knew they had to keep up with Ronnie, and they were trying to play his game. Versus, I feel like now we have so many different looks. Like, Bonac's playing his game, Nick Walker's playing his game, Derek's playing his game, and they're all coming in looking the best they can for themselves versus, trying to be the best at something else.
I think if Nick was competing in Ronnie's era, he would, and this isn't him. If I was in his camp, we'll reframe that, so it's my fault.
Okay.
I would push him for more size.
Oh, for sure.
You're
man.
not big enough. You're not big enough,
dude.
And
his physique imagine Nick Walker in that era?
Yeah, but his physique would be worse.
It could be
because you can't. He doesn't need. I mean, I have no idea his dimensions, but he looks bigger now than he did before, and I think it's primarily because he's pulled in his midsection. The taper looks wider. Like, are his shoulders actually wider? I don't know, but they sure as shit look it.
Yeah, but okay. So on the opposite side of that, I'll say that the midsection wasn't as important back then either. And I think that there still was an element of like even
but you couldn't be
Ronnie's
blocky,
got out
though.
of control.
But you couldn't get blocky though. Like when Ronnie's stomach got big, it got bloated to the front.
Yeah.
But if it hit a front double bicep, it was still shoulders, lats, waist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could play the game though. Like, I mean, look at Branch. Branch didn't have by the end didn't have like slim proportions. He was an Arnold Classic winner, and he was as nasty as you could get. And I have to say that if it wasn't for being around, like, and it's almost like Ronnie and then into Phil, that like Jay was there, there's all those really big dudes. Maybe Branch would have been prettier if it wasn't for the era. But would he have been Branch? You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It'd be I guess just as a fan of the sport, I'd love to see it.
You're right. It does change things. It changes your approach. But I love what's happening, and it's got me back to excited. Like I've told you guys many times, like I'm going to the Olympia. I'm going to watch the show. And there's been many years, and people are going to be mad, that Ron and I have went to eat instead.
Yeah,
I've heard you say that. Yeah,
or we could go eat when everyone's at the show and get in and out quicker.
Yeah,
and watch. Well, now with the 4K feeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we have some questions. I threw up a question box. I know you have some too as well, Scott. I threw this up this morning without even asking you guys. I was like, let's do this.
So I accepted it because I'm a good friend and I don't mind your stuff on my wall, Dusty.
You also. I put up a video last week, Scott, about the new mutant stuff.
Oh, I didn't.
And
see
I went
that.
ahead and offered the non-white sauce people to use Ron's code if they wanted.
Oh, that was nice of you.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You're
Nice.
allowed. You don't like white sauce.
Nope.
All right, so I'm going to just kind of roll down these without even paying attention. What makes a great training partner, and who have been all of your guys' best ones?
Well, I haven't had many over the years. I spent a great deal of my life training by myself, but I relied on the community at the gym. I was very much like, that's my gym. I train at 4. Those guys will always be around. I can get spots in the leg press and the hack. You know, can you give me a 4 rep on incline dumbbell? Yeah, no problem. And everyone knew how to spot me, and I'd had everybody trained how to spot.
I was going to say, you trained them.
Yeah, so I was very much like that. So like the crew back at Hardcore Gym in Edmonton back in the day, I was there for 13 years. I mean, those guys were awesome, and you know, like a lot of the gyms I trained at over the years. And I had some fantastic training partners for some shorter periods of time. You know, like I talked about my friends John and Nick in Australia. They taught me like, you know, half of what I know, and that was incredible. I trained, one of my best training partners ever was my best friend Scott. He trained with me for like a couple of years straight when we lived in Edmonton. He wasn't a bodybuilder. He just was like a totally natty, like, God, I'll go to the gym with you. And he was like, it was all about me, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was doing my first couple of nationals, and he was just like, I'll train with you set for set, and I'll spot you. And it was just fantastic because it was all about me, right? He never ever said, I want to do this. It was like, we're doing this, Kate, we're doing this, Kate, we're squatting today, Kate, like, you know. So it's great. I trained with a guy named Dan Fedelak who won the Canadian Nationals in 2004. That was like a real crazy era where we were, you know, I got real big. I think the first time I ever hit 320 was training with him. And that was a good time, but it was only really like 1 year. You know, but I had 2 training partners that were for long periods of time. One was a natty guy named Forrest Gavins from Edmonton. He hired me. He'd never competed and wound up winning a bunch of natural shows and getting his natty pro card. And he was fantastic training partner, natty, hardcore, set for set, rep for rep, train to failure. And then my current training partner, Braden Palmer. You guys follow Palm Tree, but he started training with me, I think he weighed like 220. I don't know. And now he hit 280 this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I like to live vicariously through Braden. You know, when people say Braden's getting huge, I take it as a compliment because I'm his training partner now.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that old line, like, it's sort of like that old samurai saying, like, when the student is ready, the master will appear.
Right.
Because the student will become the master.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So Scott, first off, because he ignored half of my question or the question, what makes a good training partner?
What makes a good training partner? I would say somebody who's going to be, and we've talked about this in the past, I think number one thing is somebody who is going to be consistent and somebody who's going to be on time, somebody who's ready to get plugged in to do what we're doing.
All those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Generally,
those guys were all those things. That's what I mean, yeah.
Generally, somebody who's going to do what I want to do. That makes her a good training
I mentioned
partner.
that a few times.
That's kind of part of it. Yeah. And I'd say that really sums it up. I can think of Matt Carney. He worked for Pepsi and I worked for 7-Up, and he was like, hey, look, I talked to him once, okay? And like I did a store that he was at, and that was it. I talked to him that one time, and then like a month or 2 later, I get a phone call, and he was like, hey, this is Matt from Pepsi. I got your number from your manager. He was like, I told him, I wanted to try to get a hold of you. I was like, hey, what's up? He was like, I want to do bodybuilding. I was like, oh, okay. Well, come on out to the gym. And I was training at the time, competing. And he became my training partner for an extended period of time. And he learned how to do bodybuilding. I put him on a diet. He learned how to do bodybuilding by working out with me. And then it was great in prep because he'd like do cardio with me too. And like when I was dragging ass, he knew it, you know, and it was cool to have somebody there that through that, like the whole prep. So it was cool. And then eventually he wanted to do a show, and he did a men's physique. He planned to, you know, do a men's physique show. And that was cool. Ended up having an issue, ended up getting freaking MRSA from an ingrown hair, like on his inner thigh, like 2 inches from the boys. Like
so way up there.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Mine are way up there. Yeah.
Holy smokes!
And he had to end up going into like IV antibiotics, hospitalization, and that was it. So he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do the show."
That's a methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus.
Ooh,
got that?
Don't get that.
Gram-positive bacteria that are genetically distinct.
Yeah. Put your glasses on before you say that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I trained with Shelby Starnes for about 5 years, and that was before John Meadows was putting out his own plans. So we were doing. John would send his workouts. He would write them up on emails, and he'd send them to a select handful of friends and say, "Hey, here's a back workout. Try this out."
Yeah.
And so we were doing the Meadows 1.0 workouts for the first 3 years, and then it became JP's workouts by like 2016, 17.
Yep.
And then we kind of did a merge of like doing it what Shelby wanted to do, which was like a combo of Meadows and JP stuff.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, when I did the JP stuff, Dusty, we were doing more deads than ever. And unintentionally, my traps and biceps were the biggest they had ever been at the end of that season.
800 pounds is 800 pounds, sir.
Yeah. Jesus.
No, I thought that was a great question. I won't go into the list because I've been very fortunate. I've had great training partners since I started bodybuilding. I just always
because you don't put up with bullshit, right?
Yeah, I found people who I think knew that before they came in.
Yeah.
And they knew what I would want, need, expect, and I've been really, really fortunate. One name that a lot of the viewers will know, I trained with Ryan Humison for years, and it's funny, he's a big YouTube personality, makes a shit ton of money on there, and what's funny about it is I used to call him the mute because he didn't speak.
Right.
Really?
We would train and he barely would talk, but I will tell you this for those who are that know his humor, he's very like deadpan, and I saw splashes of that in our, like, we went out to dinner one time after a show, and Nina, my ex-wife's sister, told the waitress, "Hey, don't put whatever on her food," because she was allergic, and dead silence, and Ryan goes, "Are you actually allergic, or are you just full of shit?" and I just lost it because I was like, the guy who doesn't speak right in front of the waitress just rails her out there. So it doesn't shock me that he's cranking out in that style. But I mean, obviously Tommy, Matt, I mean, the list goes on. And the big thing for me, besides, like you said, Scott, being consistent and showing up, was leave your shit in the parking lot. I don't care.
You mean your gear?
Well, you can bring that in or out, but just
okay.
don't
I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
But your personal life means nothing inside the gym, and those guys brought it. And I think as long as you're a little twisted in the head, you'll be fine. So, yeah, we had a nice run there. Up next, let's see here. Sorry, my page disappeared here.
I've got a gym equipment one I'll ask a little bit later. I got one.
Here's a good one that we can run through quickly. Not a question, but would be a cool topic to cover. Making money in the bodybuilding space outside of competing. And everyone on this channel is doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm very fortunate enough to have an endorsement deal with Mutant for, I guess, technically the 14th year.
Yep.
Wow.
Which I don't take for granted. I don't take that lightly.
Let me interrupt you real quick on that because it's important. Why do you bring value to Mutant that they've signed you for 14 years? And I mean, before you were a pro, during a pro, long retired. And the reason I ask is because I see people losing sponsorships all the time. Why don't you lose yours?
Well, you have to try to make yourself valuable. Mm-hmm. So you have to ask yourself, like, why would you have value? Mm-hmm. And so, if you have, let's say you had 200 clients and they were all using the product. Well, that adds value.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I don't have that. I have a smaller number of clients. I keep a smaller stable of people. I don't force them to use the product, but some of them do. So then I think, well, how can I add value? Well, the podcast. This podcast adds value. I'm reaching a lot of people, representing the brand in a positive way. I try not to be a dickhead. I try not to be rude to people at shows, and I try not, you know what I mean? Like, like you're always on the clock. That's one thing people don't get, is when you're in the public eye, you're at a show, you're at an event, you're in an airport, you're always representing the brands that you have endorsement deals with.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're never off the clock. Mm-mm. If I'm at the grocery store and some kid says, "Hey, you're Rep 300," I'm on the clock.
You're also on the clock if the kid doesn't say hey.
Yeah, I'm also on the clock, and you know what I mean?
If he's watching you and you're being an asshole in public, that ain't good.
Yeah, and I'm not just representing Mutant, but now I'm representing my gym, right? Yep. I'll be wearing a hoodie. People around town know I'm one of the owners. So when I walk into a hardware store and I'm asking the guy questions, he's looking at my hoodie, and I know that some of those guys at that particular hardware store know who I am. Like, you're always on the clock in some way, and people don't think that way, and it's a big element to it. And it's not that you just have to realize that, like, how you behave, how you carry yourself at all times affects your value. And then, of course, you know, my gym sells their product and we promote their product, and I try to add value. So now, you know, there's a lot more to it than just like, have you seen my Instagram? Like, my Instagram's not amazing. I have 50,000 followers or whatever, which isn't like nuts. But there's all these other residual values that I bring. Also, too, like, all the shop owners, I get along with all of them, and like all that stuff. So there's more to it than just like, look at the pictures I post. Did you see the workout reel I made?
Yeah, the real surface basic
real
stuff,
surface.
You know?
People think the value is in that real surface shit. And it's not. It's in relationships.
Yep.
Yeah. Huge. I like that.
So,
hey guys, speaking of like followings and stuff, we broke 35,000 subscribers for the channel this past week or so.
Awesome.
And we are getting more subscribers than ever. Like, I figured out some stuff, and things are really kind of tipping in our favor. You know, knock on wood, algorithms change and all that. But for the moment, we're cleaning up really well. And I have to say thank you, too, to all of our listeners and all of our new listeners, because if we're getting that many more listeners per week, that means that there are a lot of new people watching this right now who might not have ever seen us before. So thank you guys for being here.
Yeah. And if you are a new watcher, make sure to go to the very beginning and watch for our episodes, so that if you're not impressed now, you'll at least know it's way better than it used to be.
Yeah. Just to see the scale of improvement.
I know it's still not great, but it was really bad.
It's far more impressive.
We're here.
Far more impressive if you see the first couple episodes.
If you just watch from now, it's not that great.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good one. How do you strike balance between bodybuilding and life when it's something you need to be thinking about this at some level, meals, upcoming training sessions, etc., for most of the day?
Bodybuilding is very simple. You don't have to dwell on it all day long. Like, I always try to tell people, it's like when you open up like the music window on your laptop, and then you just minimize it so it goes into the corner, but the music's still playing.
Yeah.
That's all bodybuilding is. For like 23 hours a day. It's just software running in the background. You can be thinking about, like, you do not have to think about all your meals. Just eat them when your timer goes off.
Yeah.
It's mindless. It's mindless and mind numbing most of the time.
Look,
it's the most boring, repetitive thing. Yeah, if we can do it, there's so many things you can accomplish while you're bodybuilding. This whole, like, I can't do that, I have meals to eat. It's like, eat them in the car. They take 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's my
There's not much
opinion.
I can add to that, because I think that is the magic, is you shouldn't be thinking about it that much. I mean, you get your food together, especially if you'll
burn yourself
consistent.
out too. You'll bore yourself to death.
Yeah.
I packed my food in the morning when I had the stores, and I did exactly what Ron said. I had a timer that would go off, and I couldn't always answer that timer because I was busy. But I said, okay, well, this food will all go down before I go to bed, And when I get to the gym, whatever time, because that's the other thing people ask, like, when do you train? What's the best time? When you can. And then you go in there and you do what you need to be done. I think it's really overcomplicated for no reason. Like, it's not harder to eat chicken and rice than it is a cheeseburger. So I don't know why we're talking about it.
As long as you have it prepared, right?
Yeah,
like
well, that preparation
ready.
is everything. I mean, the only thing that I would say does change that you just brought up is I used to always, I've talked about this on the show, I would ask when we were leaving somewhere, how long do you think we'd be gone? And she'd go 3 hours. And I go, okay, we'll call it 6, and I'll bring 2 meals just in case.
Yeah.
That's it. And, and it was never a big issue. I mean, sometimes if we were out shopping and she's in the mall, I'd be like, I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'd walk to the car, I'd eat my meal, I'd put it back, and I'd walk back in. Where are you? Quick text message. Show up. No big deal.
Hey, I'll throw in one other thing. And that's just that if you're not there yet, let's say, or maybe you fell off, that maybe for some people getting back on track or getting on track, it's easy. They just flip a switch and now they're on. And if you're not there though, and you do feel like you need to work into it more, then set up real easy goals to reach. Like for me, getting back on track, I started putting together some meals that were like real easy to eat, like 4 ounces of chicken, as much rice as I knew I'd be able to eat. That's not a lot, you know what I mean? And then that way I just knew like, okay, that's prepared. I can go to that. And over time I built that consistency, and then it evolved, and then I could grow that. So it doesn't have to be perfect out the gate. All it has to be is better than it was yesterday. And if you can do that each week, you're going to get there, you know?
Very true. Very true. Oh, here we go. This is a little bit different. From what you've seen and experienced in your lives, what has brought you true happiness, and what do you think others can do to achieve it as well? I'm gonna do a real generic answer, but I think it's the most true one. Having purpose.
Yeah.
I think if you live a life without purpose, that's why you're not happy.
Yeah.
Like when I look back at times where things weren't as smooth, it's because I wasn't operating in a way that I felt I had value to myself, to others, whatever that could mean. And as long as I'm living a life with purpose, I'm always satisfied.
Yeah. I don't like to quote Jordan Peterson a lot. Like he says a lot of stuff, but when I hear him talking about how important it is to bear responsibility, I'm like, oh, that's something I've instinctually figured out. Like if you don't have something that you're responsible for, that can really lead to a lot of stray decisions and people getting way off track. And the things that I'm responsible for, that I know people count on me for, really give me purpose, like you said, Dusty, and tie me to like a reality of how I must behave and what I must get done. And when we got the second dog, it was more responsibility, and I found myself I kind of felt myself kind of thriving on it. I had this extra responsibility going on, and I was like, I like this. And having the gym, and like there's things that I'm responsible for at the gym, and I don't want to let my partners down, and I don't want to let the members down, and having things that are always important that you have to pay attention to, that gives you purpose, and it kind of ties in with what you said.
Scott, anything to add?
We want. I made me think. We want to get a dog. Well, we want Victoria's dad to get a dog for that reason. He lives alone. He doesn't have a lot to do, and you know what? Dogs can save old people for that very reason.
Yes.
I liked all of that, and I mean, gosh, I'll add one thing, and for me, it was really important. Is I have to make sure that I am not looking outside of myself for happiness. That if I try to tell myself like, oh, if I get this new gun, which I'm gonna want to get, it's like then I'll be happy. I can't misconstrue that in my head as that's going to make me happy, because I'm never gonna get happy from that, or from a relationship, or from a financial goal that I'm reaching. happiness has to, and I know it sounds cheesy, but happiness has to come from within. And that's the number one thing that I had to learn in 12-step, because that's what addiction is. We're looking for something outside of ourselves to make us happy. So yeah, I got to watch that one.
That one's a big one. That was actually my dad. He was always buying things, big things, motorcycles, cars, houses, whatever. And he would get the new thing, and he'd get that boost, and then it was no longer a new thing.
Yeah.
And he'd get another new thing. And this isn't meant to like twist this to a sad story, but I mean, he eventually was an unhappy man that committed suicide. He could not understand that those things were never going to do it, you know? So I think that's enormous to step away and realize. I say that all the time. Like, if I lost everything I have financially and worldly, the things that I have that are unbreakable, we would be fine. Nothing would change. The trucks would become some beat up whatever. It'd be fine. We'd live in a place nowhere near as nice. And in the grand scheme of what makes me happy, okay.
There was this rug. First thing that I realized,
really tied the room together.
Dude, it was such a beautiful rug, and it was like this white, deep
really tied the room
shag
together.
rug. And it was like, I saw this rug shopping, and it was like early in recovery, and it was more than I could afford. But like, if I saved my money up, I could get the rug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I realized, like, man, I'm obsessing about this rug. Like, I'm thinking like, oh, you know, I'd be so happy, to the point where like I need the rug. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I caught myself. I never bought the rug, and I'd go to the store and see it sometimes. I'd be like, damn, that's a nice rug. But here's the reality: had I bought the rug, it would have eventually gotten. It was white, by the way. White
so in a
rug.
week, it'd be garbage.
Yeah. No, I didn't know how to take care of stuff. I still hardly know how to take care of stuff. You know.
Right.
Thankfully, I'm a little better with Victoria. I'm less feral. But yeah, it was one of those things, man. Slightly less feral.
I love that word. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What's the equipment question you had, Scott?
Oh, so I wanted to ask you guys. I looked them up. I can't find this company. Maybe you guys know about it though. So we talked about a company last week. It says, you guys, another U.S.-based company that is making retro remakes is Premier Strength. They are making replicas of a few Flex leverage pieces and Nautilus Explode pieces. They look really rad. You guys have seen those?
Yeah, I follow them on Instagram. I have them on Instagram.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, so they've done some of those pieces. I'm not sure how big that company is. Looks like a smaller outfit, but yeah, they might be. I don't know much about their stuff, but they might be making good stuff, you know.
Okay.
I did want to throw this in real quick because this came up. Oh, damn, it was a texter. Duke messaged me about the MegaMass equipment.
Yeah.
And he said that his gym has a piece and it's been broken down multiple times within a year.
Oh, no kidding.
So that's kind of back to what I said about the volume of use. I don't remember where he sent it. I'd read the exact thing, but he sent that as soon as he was watching the show, and I was like, that's what I'd heard.
That's too bad.
Things for people to know. It doesn't mean it's not great for your own home and stuff. It's like when I first wanted to get a treadmill when I was younger and had my place, I went to the gym and the owner, and I said, hey, can you order me one of those Life Fitness treadmills? And he was like, for what? And I was like, my house. And he was like, why do you need a Life Fitness treadmill for your house? I was like, well, it's a good treadmill and I need it. He's like, those are designed to be used 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
He's like, how many hours are you going to put on? I was like, well, an hour a day during prep. And then it'll probably like hold laundry pretty solid. He's like, you guys won't know what this word is, most of you, but he goes, go to Sears. They're $500. It'll be fine. And that, for you people now, that's go to Facebook Marketplace, pay $300, you'll be fine in your house.
Because I got a club model Life Fitness treadmill in my own home from Life Fitness. I paid $500 for it.
Another thing too is people do this all the time. They buy cardio pieces and they get them home and realize they don't have the voltage.
Yep.
Oh,
they've got the 240 or whatever, and it's supposed to be the one. I don't know my voltage, but they've got like the industrial, like, you know, they need the industrial power outlet, and they're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
So they have to call an electrician. Yeah,
that was getting real expensive.
Yeah.
I did have to pay somebody to bring it into my home too, so that it's not like it was just $500. You know.
Yeah. There's another $500 to do that.
Yeah. It was worth it though. I love it. Cadillac.
This was directed to me, but I want to get your guys' version too. When you were running your stores and training at 4 a.m. with an itemized task list covering each hour of the day, how did you manage recovery to avoid mental burnout from the combination of training, being on your feet all day, manage the work of the business and the owner? My schedule has ramped up lately and is similar to how yours described, and I feel my recovery is starting to slide. I prep and carry all my meals, and hydration is good. However, between parenting, having full-time employees, a 5 a.m. training, it's starting to fall behind. I have a pretty awesome coach who's overseeing everything, but your experience with AM training, running a business, having to make lists every other day really resonated with me, asking as a Gen Pop client. So my answer in this is not sexy, but it's the truth. We didn't think about those things back in the day. Like managing recovery was never a thought. Worrying about overtraining never crossed my mind. Worrying about not sleeping enough never crossed my mind, because I had things that had to be done and they had to be done, and that was the end of it. So I think the biggest thing is you do what you have to do, and you don't think about it. I mean, because if his schedule was as busy as mine was, there was nothing to think about. There were however many hours in the day. This is the things that had to get done. Okay. I mean, I'm sure if I could go back in time, because I also used to struggle with sleep, I'm sure I would have been better if I could have made myself sleep. I'm sure I would have been better if I had more time. I honestly think it would have only been marginally anyways. I think we way overthink those things now, and you just get done what has to be done. Use your time as well as you possibly can. But other than that, I mean, the answer is you just do it because it's all you have.
My friend Travis put up a story the other day, and he said, overtraining is bad. Worrying about overtraining is way worse. So yeah, it's a little.
1 second here, I got to pull something up that I had to read, because I think it's way too valuable to be skipped here. There it is. I'm going to read a little Trained by JP.
Oh no, can we take a little break?
This one is fantastic. To get into this, I didn't ask about range of motion or rep ranges over and over. Those questions didn't exist 20 years ago and didn't need to, because they were people who had the size I wanted, so I emulated what they did, and guess what? It worked. We didn't ever talk about fatigue, ever. I'm so insanely embarrassed for you. If you mention fatigue management to me, to get to this, I set lift targets, really fucking high ones. I knew that if I could overhead Smith plate 5 plates aside, I would have bigger delts than anyone else. Oh, wow. It worked. I knew that if I could get my stiff legs to 8 plates aside, I'd have bigger erectors. Ooh, wow, that worked too. Effing funny that. I focused entirely on work and didn't give a shit what I felt endured to reach those lift targets. I cannot express how much I hate this app now and all the complete utter wank that I read from people with no muscle advising people with no muscle. Ban these shit combos from your mind and focus entirely on work. It's a small person thing to find 20 ways to distract themselves from the fact they are too much of an effing pussy to go after hard sets and set huge lift targets. I don't care if you're natty either. You named 2 guys. They did it. They set piss take lift targets and built a shit ton of muscle doing it. We didn't talk about not doing the work because motor unit recruitment declines as the set goes on. F off and just do it and do more of it. And more again until you're so battered that you can't get out of bed. So practical advice, instead of just calling you all a bunch of useless cunts, whatever you lift now for 4 reps, you must get that to 12 reps ASAP with 0 change in form. And then by this time next year, you must increase your load on the bar by 50%. That is doable, I promise you. Be a savage and attack your sets. Put all of this insane noise out of your mind. Are we trying to get big here, or are we just going to be talking about it? I read that and I wiped a tear.
I know. I put a comment that got like 200 likes.
Did you?
I put that's an absolute unit of a comment. Or an absolute unit of a quote or whatever. Yeah, something like that.
It's good.
But seriously, I mean, I think we should briefly cover it, because what we just said, like, you never even thought about those things.
I
never said like, oh, I'm sore today. What should I do? It's leg day.
Yeah.
Train legs.
There's that.
Yeah, it's leg day. You do that. Yeah. And if there was all sorts of stuff like today's hack squat day, and I feel kind of like there's a little thing here, but I still just warm up really good until it goes away, and then I'll hack squat because it's hack squat day.
Yeah. Just a little more warm up.
You know what I mean? Just like, yeah. And just putting stuff out of your mind, which the putting stuff out of your mind thing, I really relate to, because there were so many times I remember doing that. Like, don't think about that. That's noise. Like that whole thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just getting to work and chasing lifts. Like I remember chasing leg presses and chasing hack squats and chasing barbell rows, chasing incline dumbbell presses. Like you're looking at the far end of the rack and you're like, I'm gonna fucking get there, you know? And just that super, super aggressive stuff, you know?
I think there's benefit to those things. Like there's benefit to recognizing, you know, that like more sleep is going to be beneficial. Because I can say there's times that have been like, you know what? Looking back, you know, I had a really tough time in that prep, or that client did, you know, in 2015. He had a really weird sleep schedule because of his job. I bet that it had to do with his sleep. And I know that now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there is, benefit of knowing those things, but it doesn't mean that you need to, like, you know, be paralyzed by it, right?
Yeah.
You know?
And
it doesn't mean that you have to not train legs today because they're sore.
I think one of the main problems is, like, I would go to bed because I'm like, I'm going to bed at midnight tonight. I have legs tomorrow.
Yeah.
But let's say I had a bad sleep. Let's say I went to bed, toss and turn, couldn't get to sleep, wound up only getting 6 hours, got up in the morning. I didn't dwell on the fact that I only had 6 hours sleep.
Yeah.
It didn't cross my mind.
Did you check your HRV?
Yeah, it didn't cross my mind. It's like, today's legs, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. I still have rep totals. I still got to beat my hack squat.
Yeah.
But I think what the problem is guys are now getting up and looking at their app and going, oh, I didn't get the sleep I wanted, so maybe I should adjust my da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And they're not putting that shit, like the value of putting it out of your mind and just overcoming the nonsense. Don't take all this shit in all the time. It just crowds up so much of your space.
What's funny is I feel like we have too much data now.
Yeah.
And we're sitting on it.
We don't know how to analyze it to wait. Like, they're overanalyzing it.
So I had a client, they're doing the step mill. And I said, how's the steps going? And she goes, good. And I said, is it hard as it used to be? And she said, no. And we're in prep. And I said, okay, I want you to kick it up to a level where it's as hard as it used to be.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, what level? I said, whatever one makes it as hard as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should want to get off before your time is up, like you used to. That's what I want. And she was like, so is it like a heart rate? I'm like, no. Hard as it used to be. And I really think that part has gotten lost because it's a normal, and I'm not faulting her for asking. It's good questions. But I really do think that that's a thing. Like Ron and I agree on this. Cardio should either be easy or hard.
Right.
Those are the two options. So if I want it to be hard, if it starts to get easier because you're getting more conditioned, make it harder again, whatever that means, you know? So the data is definitely slowing people down in a lot of ways, in my opinion, because like you said, Ron, you just never really thought about it. You're like, oh, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't, all that stuff doesn't matter. We'll get a couple more here.
And the number of times that I beat my rep total, even though something didn't go perfectly that week, I still beat my rep total.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you pile up those wins and you realize, like, just smoke through this shit. You know?
I always found that those days were the most rewarding days.
Yeah.
You get done and you're like, honestly, I didn't want to be here today. But I had to be, and I got going, and the next thing you know, it's a killer workout,
Yeah.
And you're
You
like,
got a new PR on Hack Squat. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. It just clicked through, you know?
Hey, Georgina from Patreon. She said the IFBB rules states that anyone on prescribed TRT to keep test within physiological levels is unable to compete in a natural contest. I was surprised by this and think a lot of people are unaware. What do you guys think? Seems to be unfair to me.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is sort of changing over time. I mean, you know what I mean? We've seen, I think there's certain leagues now, like, aren't they allowed TRT in UFC now?
I have no idea.
Like, I'm not quite sure, but I know that stuff is all kind of evolving and changing. I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually changes. But, I mean, that's just the rules. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of natty people aren't, I mean, I got my own opinions on natty.
Me too.
There's people doing natty shows that are using like every peptide under the sun, and they're running all this other stuff. It's like they're basically steroid free.
Yeah.
But they're using like insulin and growth hormone and all the peptides and even Cytum. Oh, I'm on a thyroid prescription.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then there's natural, and then there's tested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I've heard people say is like tested is an IQ test to see who can pass it.
Pass the test.
Yeah. Who can do math?
Yeah.
Good one here, because I think this is great. Can you discuss the times BCAAs may still be beneficial? I use them every day. So.
I'd say if you had to pick a time where they would be the most likely to be beneficial, it would be in a calorie deficit, getting ready for a show while you're training.
I would leave out all the other words and just say while you're training.
There you go.
I would take EAA though, because figure if I'm going to pay for it, I'm going to get all the amino acids from EAAs. That's why I'd get on the gear.
But the branch chains are actually the ones that are made for extending your workout.
Yeah,
but you want your workout to be not of the same doses.
Okay.
So and that's why Mutant continues to make them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the fad has been to go straight EAAs. You don't need the branch chains. First off, we'll start a step further. You don't need any of them.
That's a point there.
Because you're eating. But guess what? I eat even now plenty of protein in a day, and I can absolutely tell. Like, I finish a scoop and a half of the BCAAs every single workout.
Yeah.
And what I notice, it's the same thing. It's funny enough that people don't realize this, but the reason that Scivation called their product Extend when it came out, Branch Chain, is because that's the idea. You're extending how long you can train at a certain level of intensity over a longer amount of time.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people, how they feel in the beginning of their workout versus the end isn't the same thing. You can actually, and a great way to test it, Scott, is if you're doing your cardio, and I don't recommend using it for cardio, first off, but for you to get a feel, sip on it during your cardio, and you'll see that the end of your cardio is not any harder than the beginning. That's not when it should be used. I don't want anyone else to hear that and think it's a good idea. I'm just saying for you to test it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You just won't slow down. It
feel
doesn't feel difficult.
I think I'm a unique person when it comes to this. Leucine can create an insulin release, and that ends up giving me low blood sugar. And I figured that out because back in the day when everybody was all on BCAAs, I would use them training, and then I would go hypo at the end of my workout or into my cardio. So for me, I'd be afraid of going hypo, but I know what you mean because I did use my fair share of them. So I wonder what the dosing is, because I know BCAAs you're getting usually like 2.5 grams of leucine and 1.25 of isoleucine and valine.
You get 10 total in mutants.
Okay,
but
so
same ratios, but more.
Yeah, so that would be 5, so double that. So I wonder how much you'd have to take of you probably have to take like 30 grams of EAAs to get that done.
So, all right. Do we have anything else that we need to cover? I think we'll do one more just because I'm hunting for one, and then we'll call it a day.
Should we put? I think we're going to put this episode out first.
Okay.
And then put the other one out next. And we didn't even tell people that was like a Memorial Day weekend special.
Oh, whoops.
Now they know.
Let's see. Jeez, this is brutal.
Wonder if I got something on Patreon here.
Yeah, see if you got anything. I don't have anything that's like a great
I got this
finisher.
I don't know how to. So he's from Patreon, so I feel like I owe him. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not quite sure what he means by this. I'm just going to tell you. It says question for It's Just Bodybuilding. And new Patreon subscriber, by the way, Southside Iron. He said, check out Southside_Iron_Columbia on Instagram. He says, question for It's Just Bodybuilding. Men's physique. Replace the board shorts with the square cut trunks that Classic started with. Let's be honest, some of these guys are walking around at 250. It's time to let the board shorts go. Then he says, rename Classic Physique Classic Bodybuilding, keep the current trunks, and have a short and tall class, significantly increase the weight caps, and put pressure on the judges to reward the classic look over the open looks. Lee Haney was 5'11", 225 on stage, and the current 5'11" cap for Classic is 219. Why call a division Classic when many of the big names in Classic guys wouldn't be able to compete in the class? P.S. Then he said, check out the Southside Iron Columbia. So he's saying just redo the whole thing, basically.
I mean, I think what they're trying to do, is they're trying to control the height to weight ratio. Because I do, and I understand what he said. I mean, I've got a couple clients that I really wish they had 10 more pounds because their frame could hold it without losing that look. But in my opinion, I like what the IPB is doing, because if not, what blurs the lines and confuses people is you can be within the height and weight ratios and you still don't have a Classic physique at all.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, there are outliers. I mean, it's hard not to say that some of the top guys, I mean, what would we say Jamie Christensen's physique should look like to be a Classic guy? I mean, he's 6'6". I mean, he would, but he's still
tiny waist.
You know, I mean, he's got all the things that you could argue Classic, but I think that's the idea behind it being Classic physique and not Classic bodybuilding. Because if not, he is a Classic bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Tony Freeman would be a Classic bodybuilder. Basically, if you have a small waist and everything else billows out from there, you could call yourself Classic. So I don't think they want to blur the lines any more than they already are. Because as it is, there's Classic guys that I know if they wanted to cross over could be great open pros. I mean, men's physique, I've seen some of these guys, they're not hiding their legs. They're covering them because that's the shorts that are there. They have them. Yeah. Those guys can bodybuild.
I can see getting away with getting rid of those trunks or getting rid of the board shorts and going to a more Classic trunk. Sure. If we were going to give him something, I say
I don't disagree with that.
We give him that one.
The question that comes to mind in my head is, how would they present their legs posing the way they do?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sure there's an answer, but it would change a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Yeah. But I'm one of the few, I shouldn't say few, but I love the Classic physique look.
Yeah.
You know, I don't love the way that they are told to present their look. I don't like the little whole move around the hands, look ridiculous thing. But the physique, I think I'd rather have some of these guys Classic, these men's physique guys physique than the bodybuilders. Just walk around. They look nuts.
Yeah, those guys are getting laid nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Not that that's what I'm looking for.
But you know it's true.
Oh, yeah.
Their
Nonstop,
DMs are
Dusty.
full.
Totally full. Totally full, Dusty.
Full.
Yeah, mine are too, but they're guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just dudes.
On that note, great episode.
Dusty, I've got something here. I have some BCAAs. I'm gonna make sure I don't go hypo.
Oh, that's a grape. That's the best one.
I'm gonna make sure I don't go hypo. I'm gonna use these on my next workout, and I'm very curious. Power through. All right.
I want your breakdown. All right.
Is that it?
Ron, our work here is done.
Dusty's so much. Look at he took control. He's got the glasses. Ron. He just took the whole thing. He's a different man.
I know.
Gotta roll now.
I know.
I saw a thing where they said that if you wear glasses in the U.S., like our society, our culture, you are instantly thought of as being much smarter. Like it's just a fact. You are thought of, but they also you're instantly less attractive too. They said so.
I couldn't go further in that direction, Scott. So it was worth the trade.
Welcome to the club.
It was worth the trade.
Welcome to the club.
Oh man, that's funny.
I'm sure I have more than enough things that
you can
cancel me back out on the.
Yeah,
you can do a lot of stuff with glasses.
Is like a good removal take?
Yeah,
you can do. Yeah.
I would practice those. I'm not doing those now. I'm not ready.
Yeah. You know what? I think of the opening scene for CSI Miami when David Caruso would always kind of take his glasses off and drop the final line. You know what I mean?
That had the worst one-line
entry
things.
liners.
Oh man.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who has a crazy story about meeting that guy.
Really?
He has a connection through the film industry, and he happened to go to a dinner, and David Caruso was there, and he wound up sitting next to him. Mm-hmm. And he thought, oh, this is cool. I'm sitting next to David Caruso, right? And they're chatting away, and it was going pretty well. Everyone's laughing, they're talking away, and he's talking to him about movies.
Yeah.
And then David had told some stories that sort of led my friend to feel a certain way about how he viewed his characters and made him very comfortable in talking freely.
Should have done that.
And so my friend said he's like, oh man, like CSI Miami was like great. Like it was, great. You must have been fun playing like such a cheesy character. Like you got to deliver like the cheesiest lines, and like it was a big hit. And like that character, like in any other context, would have just been like utterly ridiculous. And like, how did you feel about like how that character was written, and like just went a little too comfortable. With how cheesy the lines were, and how like the delivery was just like a certain way. And David just changed, and he was like, I wrote that character. And then he like left.
Whoa.
My friend was just like, oh shit. The worst ever running. And his friend that brought him was like, what the fuck did you say to David Caruso? You pissed him off. And he was just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think it's great because it's like you didn't know. Like everyone knows that. That's the first thing I said when you brought it up. I'm like, those were the worst lines. He seemed
shocked. He seemed like, what are you talking about? And my friend was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I have to say, quick thing before we go. I am watching. First of all, Mobland has been amazing.
Oh, Dave Crossland's been watching. He told me it's so good. Yeah.
Mobland is awesome. Dusty, you'll love it. And then also The Studio.
The Studio.
Watch The Studio, Seth Rogen's new show.
I like Seth Rogen.
It is absolutely fantastic. Seth Rogen plays a guy who winds up as the head of a movie studio. So it's full of cameos.
Okay.
Because everyone else in it is real.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? He's like the head of a movie studio, and he's a kind of bumbling because he's like throwing this job. He's like, oh my God, I'm the head now, like kind of out of nowhere. And everyone else is a cameo playing themselves, fictional versions of themselves. It is shot, the episodes are 30 minutes. They're super high paced, nonstop. And we are completely, we think it's the best project Seth Rogen's ever done.
Wow.
That says a lot.
And it's fantastic. So watch The Studio. You'll love it. And that's my TV review for the week.
We're still finishing White Lotus, season 3.
So fun.
Epic show. Yeah.
Before the last episode, you and Victoria have to sit down and you have to place some bets on who's going to die. Because someone dies, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Season 2 was epic.
What a great ending.
I don't want to give it away for anybody, but that was epic.
Such a fun show.
Yeah.
How far in are you to season 3?
Oh, we're getting there. We're at that point here. So here's our evolution of a TV show. We start burning through them hard, right? And we're like, oh God, we don't have many left, and this is the last season.
Slow it down.
So yeah, we start. Well, we're gonna watch something else tonight. So we kind of back off a little bit. Before we know it, I can't even remember what was happening anymore. It's been so long.
So has Sam Rockwell shown up yet?
Sam Rockwell. I don't know who that is. I don't know actors' names. That's an actor.
Oh, yeah, as an actor. He shows up and delivers an amazing monologue.
So we're at the point where so her son, the massage therapist's son, he is just about to get in town.
Ah, okay.
So we're like, I think 2/3 of the way through.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you look up.
You guys are watching TV shows because all I watch is hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Schwarzenegger's son is in that, so that's been fun.
Yeah, Patrick Schwarzenegger's in it. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. And I've been like looking at him because they have scenes like him at the pool. And we've been trying to like.
I know you're analyzing the structure of his chest. Like, does he look like his dad at all? You know, like
I think he's got the arms. Like he does have his collar. Got that.
He's
structure.
the same height. I've met him. So he's like the same. He's a tall guy, broad-shouldered. Yeah.
And I think he could have the arms if he were to fill out. You know.
And I like how they've got him like making protein shakes. Like he's into fitness.
Yeah. Get him a little primo, some D-ball in the off.
Yeah. Little primo. Well, he's in Thailand. He could go get some good stuff.
All he wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they'd write that in there. Maybe he makes a trip to the pharmacy.
His sister at one point is like, we all know you take steroids, you know?
Yeah, there's even a line in there. It's funny. Okay, well, look up Sam Rockwell.
All right. Yeah.
Amazing actor. And you let me know if he's shown up yet or not.
I think he the friend of the
friend
buddy who lives in Thailand. Yeah. We watched that. That was the last episode.
That was the greatest out of left field monologue. He starts talking, and Emily and I are like, holy shit. He's like, so what have you been up to? Well, let me tell you.
Down a rabbit hole with that. Just delivering it like it's nothing. You know?
Nothing, yeah. Amazing. Dusty will love it.
Yes.
So, okay. Thanks. And I guess in real life, Sam is married. You know the 3 girls that are on the girls' trip?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of those is Sam's wife in real life.
Okay. All right.
So she was cast on the show, and as they were writing the show, they were like, oh, well, Sam Rockwell could fly out and do a cameo because his wife's already on the show. And then Sam, I guess, had input. He's like, I got a character if you guys. And he had like...
he did that, huh?
He did some input there with them. They were like, oh, Jesus. And then Sam had a lot of input on that monologue.
So Sam Rockwell somebody then, I assume. He's an actor?
Yeah, well, he's Oscar winning. He was in Tombstone. He was he was in Moon, one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever.
Okay.
He's been in like an amazing list of crazy Oscar-winning movies. If you look up Sam Rockwell, he's just an absolute ace of an actor.
Yeah, Victoria started talking during that scene, and I was like, because it was right at the beginning of him getting into that, and I was like, no, hold on.
That's against Ron's rule.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no talking.
Did you walk out next? Go to the bathroom? This is unacceptable.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Remember, it's just bodybuilding. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Check out.
You got.
That should be my new one.
That's your new one.
Take them off and then use them as the bell.
IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Get your ice surge. Get your all in. Everyone should get on the gear and the BCAs.
Yes.
Don't forget the BCAs. Okay, and thanks for all the questions, all the Patreon, all the YouTube questions, everything. We love it. Thanks for keeping us in the algorithms. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.